going on, creeps? Doc back at ya for part 3, or actually part 4 of my little Venture Bros analysis that I've been coming out with here, because you guys have been giving me some pretty decent feedback, so I figure I'll keep on bringing them to you. Well, today, unfortunately, is probably going to be the last one for a little bit, because it's the end of this Morphic Trilogy, and I don't think the story's really going to be building the way that it has. I don't think I'm really going to have enough every week to bring you new shit that they're building in this story, because I really don't think that they're going to be delivering at the fucking level that they have been these last 3 episodes. I mean, over the rest of this whole season, I don't think we're even going to get a tenth of what we've gotten in these 3 episodes. But I am here today to discuss part 3 of the Morphic Trilogy, the gripping conclusion, Areas in Science. A little allusion to Season 1 episode Careers in Science, where we first learned the story of the Phantom Spaceman, which is something that has come front and center and turns out is a very huge linchpin in Venture mythology, as we have been discussing. Alright, this finale in the Morphic Trilogy is possibly a hearkening maybe to the end of the Venture Bros as a whole, as we know it. As I said last week, this is the longest spanning single story they have ever achieved in the series. And this last part is so jam-packed with more mythology than I ever could have imagined. Just when I didn't think they could throw me for any more of a loop after those first 2 installments, this third one just takes the show and flips it upside down completely. We finally get a literal glimpse inside of the mind of Jonas Venture Sr., and we discover, exactly the kind of man that he is, and by exactly, I mean exactly. So we're picking up right where we left off when the 2 stories bisected with each other. Everyone inside the Ventec building is attempting to escape from the fleeing building. The guild arrives to capture the new blue Morpho, and the OSI can't come to help Brock because the dummy corp was just raided. We start with the new Morpho, who turns out to be a familiar face. It is Vendetta, the first guild councilman killed in the purge leading up to all this in Gargantua too. Who, as it turns out, is also a survivor, just like Dr. Dugong. He lived through being dismantled by Brock and remembered who he was, the Blue Morpho. Even in that episode, back in Season 5, Vendetta speaks of a plane crashing and asks for his wife before collapsing, so I think they definitely knew what they were doing there with that one, and it seems like a lot of people have figured that one out. But I don't think anybody could have grasped the fucking depth that it goes to. So he spent all of this time in between that episode in Season 5 and where we are right now, walking from the desert to Newark, New Jersey, to go to his home, which was now being lived in by his son Malcolm, the Monarch, and his wife, Dr. Girlfriend. When Vendetta discovers the Blue Morpho suit is gone, taken by the Monarch, he takes out the spare one that he had in case of an allergic reaction, and takes off in the Morphomobile, and this is definitely why Gary finds it missing when he's trying to ambush Wide Whale and leaves Monarch in the wind. So now we come full circle again, and we're in the present, and the cyborg is at the Venture building demanding to speak with Jonas Venture, which he achieves once he sees the Problem machine, plugging his cybernetic finger into it and transporting himself into the digital layer of Jonas Venture Sr. Vendetta has returned to him to find all of the answers of his past, as all of the pieces have not yet fallen in place inside of his scattered cyborg mind. So here we get the tale of Jonas's final moments of hearing street life before everything went black for him. And he did not see the light again until his son and grandchildren visited Gargantua 1 in that episode Careers in Science. He was unable to communicate until he took over the entire station and ended up crashing it into the desert after some sort of disagreement he had with the programming, which seems like some sort of like Age of Ultron shit. He then recalls Jonas Jr. finding him, his savior, making him a new home in the New York building before Pete attempted to hack into his home. Back again in the real world, the original Team Venture tells the story of how Jonas had turned the Blue Morpho into Venturion, who lost his mind and had to be put down by Kano after remembering his son and attacking Little Rusty. So finally, it is explained why Kano has taken the vow of silence. It's due to his guilt from killing his original master, even though he is technically already dead. Venturion's body is then found in the dumpster by Dr. Z, who could not help himself but reconfigure one of Venture's creations against him, giving him a final makeover and redubbing him Vendetta. And now Z finally realizes who was the man that was Venturion before he was turned into a robot. And now Dr. Girlfriend really understands who he is. Just as the Monarch is across the street planning to kill the new Morpho so that him and 21 will be in the clear once and for all. We now cut back to the sex party tape from last season, which is being watched by Jonas, Venture Sr., and Vendetta inside of his mind cave, reminding Morpho that he was terribly guilty about this one single act, and the tape was used against him as blackmail by Jonas until the day that he died in the plane crash. We also realize that his son, Malcolm, is Jonas's son, since he said that he'd help his wife get pregnant because his science is so much more vital. So the Monarch and Rusty are officially at least revealed to be half-brothers, if not maybe twins. And Jonas was even a bigger piece of shit than any of us could have ever imagined. This is honestly, like, kind of off-putting. Like, it goes that fucking far. I was pretty taken aback by how horrible of a man he was. In this fury, he finally allows the true Morpho to bleed through the cybernetic mind and remember his hatred for the man standing before him. This reinstatement of memory is just something else Jonas is deeming as more of his help. So it's thanks to him that now he's able to remember that he's the Blue Morpho. We now cut to a diner where Red Death, the Council, and Brock are all sharing a meal and also discussing the past. Red Death tells the story again of how the idea for a movie night came to fruition. It was first made a reality by Vendetta. Brock then stops the story, calling bullshit on it all, because those were all Guild operatives, and it is a widely known fact that Sphinx was the organization who had killed Jonas. But this was all a ruse created by the Sovereign, who disguised himself as the leader of Sphinx to shift blame away from his guild, creating the Pyramid Wars, which was started by his guild to kill their competition. And this means that Brock killed countless Sphinx agents for the guild and not OSI like he believed. They then, after another horrible revelation, for this time for Brock, they then come to the conclusion that Blue Morpho / Vendetta is going to be taken into joint custody by both the organizations so that this mess can once and for all be swept under the rug. We then cut to the story of what really happened on the night of movie night and what happened to Jonas. Vendetta was going to play the video of Jonas and Blue Morpho over the screen instead of Sharky's machine before he realized that he was in fact the Blue Morpho, and again was offered his help before Vendetta opened the bay doors, killing everyone other than Vendetta himself aboard the ship. The original Team Venture found Jonas's frozen body, and when putting him into the machine, dropped him, shattering the body and leaving only the disembodied head to drop inside of the Problem machine. Jonas now frantically transports himself into Rusty's watch, telling him to put his brain into Vendetta's body while he's still distracted by the link between the two. Well, now that he's the Morpho and realizes everything that's going on, Vendetta attempts to break away from this bond that he has with him and sees his son, the Monarch, finally, calling him Malcolm, leaving the Monarch in utter confusion before the machines flee away into battle. Jonas not allowing Vendetta to get away and vice versa. They both roll out of the building before being utterly destroyed, finally tying up the deaths of both Jonas Sr. and the Blue Morpho, along with so much more. I am not going to lie, I don't think anything has maybe ever blown me away in relation to revelations in a story being brought to light more than this did. I just sat there the whole time I was watching this with my mouth open. I had to instantly rewatch all of this back together again as a whole, and I greatly recommend that you do so also. And maybe also come back and listen to this as a whole, all three parts of Doc's analysis of the Morphic Trilogy, as, I don't know, I guess we'll have to wait and see until next week to see how much lore and story building we get, because I don't think that it can really match what we've gotten here. Yeah, that's pretty much everything all out on the table there, creeps. So, as much as I wish that I could keep on bringing you Venture Bros content, I don't know if I would be able to deliver the goods as well as I have been, so I might have to meander into something else. But I guess we'll just have to wait and let time tell, because who knows, maybe this whole season will just be jam-packed with answers and just this high level of storytelling that we've gotten thus far, but I don't think that it's in the cards. Either way, Until next time, I hope you join me. Love you, creeps.